Have you ever gotten away with something that you know you shouldn't have? Do you have any guilty little secrets? Maybe you discreetly visited a family member inside. Maybe you said that you liked your wife's haircut. Maybe, though, you've gotten away with something more extreme that you really don't want to think about and definitely don't talk about. Well, what about the opposite? Have you ever been blamed for something that wasn't your fault? Maybe at work or at home with your family? How did you feel? I don't know if you've ever seen the film The Green Mile. Well, in it, one of the main characters, John Coffey, is put in prison and sentenced to death for the horrific murder of two girls. Throughout the film, it becomes clear that he is completely innocent. He could never do that sort of crime. But near the end, you watch with horror, spoilers, as the execution is carried out. And John Coffey is executed for a crime that he didn't commit. And we know that that isn't fair. When we watch, we feel grief for the character. A quick YouTube search, and you can find a ton of YouTubers watching that scene for the first time and reacting to it. YouTuber Popcorn in Bed's reaction sums it up pretty well. She says, "This is so wrong. This is so wrong. I don't want to watch. This is too much. This isn't fair." We feel the injustice of someone being punished for something that they didn't do, especially when it happens to us or someone we know and love. Yesterday, we spent some time looking at Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, and today we fast forwards a little bit in the story. This is a true story of two men, both held in captivity by the Roman government. At this stage, Israel was under Roman occupation and rule, and the two men were prisoners under the Roman governor, Pilate. One man is Barabbas. He was arrested for murder. He was a revolutionary, a violent man. He was on death row, facing execution for crimes that he committed. And the other man is Jesus, who traveled through Israel, teaching and healing. And he was arrested because the religious leaders of the time didn't agree with him or like him. Now, at the time of the story, a celebration feast was underway. And during the feast, it was traditional for Pilate the governor to release one prisoner that the crowd wanted. And so on this feast day, he stood in front of the crowds and he asked them, "Which prisoner do you want to be released? Who to release? The murderer or the innocent man?" Pilate thought it was a given. He said to the crowd, "Jesus hasn't done anything to deserve death, so I'll punish him and then release him." But stirred up by religious leaders who wanted Jesus dead in the first place, the crowd shouted, "Take away Jesus and give us Barabbas." "What? Why?" Pilate asked. "What wrong has he done?" But the crowd kept on shouting, "Crucify him, crucify him." And Pilate, the Roman governor, did as the people wanted. The innocent man was sentenced to death, while the guilty man went free. Jesus died and Barabbas lived. It wasn't fair, but that swap was just a little taste of what was to come. It was a sign that something much bigger was to come. Fast forward a couple of days to Jesus' execution. We'll be looking at it a lot more closely and in more detail over the next couple of days. But let's just think briefly about what was happening at the execution of Jesus. Jesus was crucified by the Romans. He was murdered. The innocent man was put to death. And who goes free in this scenario? Barabbas went free earlier while Jesus was sentenced to death. But now that Jesus dies, who goes free? We do. You see, we have all, at some point in our lives, done something wrong and gotten away with it. We have all said things that have hurt people. We have all been rude or ungrateful or difficult. More importantly, all of us have failed to acknowledge God as King over the world and our lives. And yet we go unpunished most of the time. So, what's the punishment that we deserve? Well, it's death, it's separation from God and the good things that come from God forever. It's hell. We are like Barabbas. We stand facing a sentence for our behavior that we deserve. So, what happens? Jesus takes our punishment. He is crucified on a cross while we go free. Just like Barabbas walked free, so we can walk free if we put our trust in Jesus, if we accept the offer, if we realize what he has done for us and agree to live for him and follow him. We can be forgiven from all our crimes and set free from the shame and the guilt that comes with them. Have you accepted the deal? Like Barabbas, have you left death row? Have you accepted the swap? Do you have Jesus dying in your place, taking your punishment? If you're watching this and you think, well, I haven't, but it sounds interesting or inspiring, or I'd like to know more about this Jesus, then please do reach out to the friend who shared you this video or message the Libanus page. We would love to hear from you. Thank you for listening and have a great Easter.